Discovery in the ice. The wind howled across the frozen wastes of Epsilon Eridani, a planet scientists had optimistically dubbed New Antarctica. Commander Samira Patel squinted through the windshield of her rover, the vehicle's massive treads crunching through the perpetual ice and snow. Her team had been surveying this godforsaken rock for months, searching for signs of the rare minerals that could revolutionize Earth's energy crisis. "I'm telling you, Sam, there's nothing out here but ice and more ice," grumbled Dr. Marcus Chen, the team's geologist, from the passenger seat. "We should pack it in and head back to base." Samira ignored him, focusing instead on a strange reading on her scanner. "Hold on," she muttered, bringing the rover to a halt. "I'm picking up something. Metallic, about 50 meters ahead." Marcus leaned forward, suddenly alert. "Metallic? That's impossible. This planet's been locked in an ice age for millions of years." Samira was already suiting up. "Only one way to find out," she said, her voice crackling through the comm system. "Suit up, we're going outside." The bitter cold hit them like a physical force as they stepped out of the rover. Samira's breath frosted inside her helmet as she trudged forward, following the increasingly insistent beeping of her handheld scanner. Marcus followed close behind, muttering about frostbite and hallucinations. They crested a small ridge, and there, half buried in the ice, was something that shouldn't exist. A sleek, silver pod, its surface unmarred by the ravages of time and elements. "Holy shit," Marcus whispered, his scientific skepticism evaporating in an instant. Is that a ship?" Samira approached cautiously, her heart pounding. The pod was barely large enough to hold a single occupant, its design unlike anything in Earth's arsenal. As she drew closer, she noticed a small, frosted window near what she assumed was the top of the craft. "There's someone inside," she gasped, peering through the icy glass. Marcus rushed to her side, his own curiosity overcoming his earlier reluctance. Together, they brushed away the frost, revealing the face of the pod's occupant. It was undeniably alien. The being inside had skin of a pale, luminescent blue, features that were almost elfin in their delicacy. Its eyes were closed, long lashes resting against high cheekbones. Despite its otherworldly appearance, there was something hauntingly beautiful about the creature. "Is it alive?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Before Samira could answer, the alien's eyes snapped open. They were a startling silver, seeming to glow from within. Those eyes locked onto Samira's, and in that moment, she felt a connection that transcended species and language. The alien's lips moved, and impossibly, Samira heard a voice in her mind. "Help me." Samira made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Marcus," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins, "call the base. Tell them we're going to need the big transport and a medical team. We're bringing her in." As Marcus fumbled with the comm unit, Samira placed her gloved hand on the pod's frosted surface. "Don't worry," she said, not knowing if the alien could understand her. "We're going to get you out of there. You're safe now." The silver eyes blinked once, slowly, and Samira felt a wave of gratitude that wasn't her own. She knew then that she had stumbled upon something far more valuable than any mineral deposit. This was first contact, and the beginning of an adventure beyond her wildest dreams. As the transport ship's engines roared in the distance, Samira stood guard over her incredible discovery. Whatever happened next, the universe had just become a much bigger, more wondrous place, and humanity, for better or worse, was about to take its first steps into a larger world. Thawing trust. The new Antarctica research base was in an uproar. What had begun as a routine mineral survey had turned into humanity's first extraterrestrial encounter, and no one was quite sure how to handle it. Commander Samira Patel stood outside the hastily repurposed medical bay, her arms crossed, watching through the observation window as Dr. Elena Rodriguez carefully examined their alien visitor. "How's our guest doing?" asked Marcus, appearing at Samira's side with 2 steaming cups of coffee. Samira accepted one gratefully. Physically, Elena says she's stable. Apparently, her species has some kind of natural cryogenic ability. But as for the rest, she shrugged, taking a sip of the bitter liquid. Your guess is as good as mine. Inside the medical bay, the alien sat perched on an examination table, her luminescent blue skin contrasting sharply with the sterile white of the room. She seemed fascinated by everything around her, those silver eyes darting from one piece of equipment to another. Has she said anything else? Marcus asked. You know, telepathically. Samira shook her head. Not since we got her out of that pod. I think she's conserving her strength. She paused, frowning. But I can feel her, Marcus. It's like a presence at the back of my mind. I think she's trying to understand us as much as we're trying to understand her. The door to the medical bay hissed open, and Elena stepped out, looking both excited and exhausted. Well, she said, running a hand through her disheveled hair, I can confidently say that our visitor is unlike any life form we've ever encountered. Her cellular structure, her biochemistry, it's all completely alien, pardon the pun. But is she dangerous? The gruff voice belonged to Major Victor Hawthorne, the base's head of security. He'd been lurking in the shadows, his hand never far from his sidearm. We need to consider the safety of this base, of Earth itself. Samira felt a flicker of irritation. She's not a threat, Major. She's a refugee, possibly the last of her kind. We should be figuring out how to help her, not treating her like a prisoner. With all due respect, Commander, Hawthorne countered, we know nothing about her or her intentions. For all we know, this could be the vanguard of an invasion force. Before Samira could retort, a soft voice echoed in all of their minds. I mean you no harm. They turned to see the alien standing in the doorway of the medical bay, her silver eyes filled with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Elena moved to support her, but the alien waved her off gently, standing tall despite her obvious weakness. My name, the voice in their heads continued, is Lyra. I am the last survivor of the Celestial Concordance, and I have traveled far to find you. Hawthorne's hand tightened on his weapon, but Samira stepped forward, her voice calm and welcoming. It's nice to meet you, Lyra. I'm Commander Samira Pidal. Can you tell us why you've come to our world? Lyra's gaze swept over the assembled humans, lingering on Samira. Your world stands on the brink of a great change. I came to warn you, and to ask for your help. There are forces in the galaxy that would see your species enslaved or destroyed before you can reach your true potential. What kind of forces? Marcus asked, his scientific curiosity overriding any fear. They call themselves the Void Collective, Lyra explained, her mental voice tinged with sadness. They are ancient and powerful, and they fear the rise of young races like yours. My people fought them for millennia, but in the end, we were overwhelmed. I am all that remains of that resistance. Samira felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Antarctic cold. And now they're coming for us. Lyra nodded solemnly. They are. But there is hope. Your species has a unique gift, a resilience and adaptability that my people lacked. With the right guidance, the right technology, you may be able to stand against the void where we could not. Hawthorne scoffed. And we're just supposed to take your word for all this. How do we know this isn't some elaborate trap? You don't, Lyra admitted. But I can show you. Before anyone could react, Lyra reached out and touched Samira's forehead. In an instant, the commander's mind was flooded with images, vast fleets of pitch-black ships, worlds burning, civilizations crumbling to dust. But beneath the horror, there was a glimmer of hope, glimpses of human ingenuity, of unlikely alliances, of a future where the stars themselves were within reach. When the vision faded, Samira found herself on her knees, gasping for breath. She looked up at Lyra, seeing the alien in a whole new light. I believe her, she said, her voice hoarse but determined. and I think we need to listen to what she has to say." Hawthorne opened his mouth to object, but Alina cut him off. "I agree with the commander. This is bigger than any one of us. We need to inform Earth's governments, pool our resources." Marcus nodded enthusiastically. "Think of what we could learn from her. The scientific advancements alone could revolutionize our entire civilization." As the humans debated among themselves, Lyra stood silently, her silver eyes fixed on Samira. The commander felt a mix of emotions from the alien: hope, fear, and something else, something almost like affection. "Thank you for believing in me," Lyra's voice whispered in Samira's mind. "Together, we may yet save both our peoples." Samira straightened, her resolve hardening. She knew that the road ahead would be difficult, filled with challenges and dangers beyond imagining. But as she looked at Lyra, at this impossible being who had crossed the stars to find them, she felt a spark of hope ignite in her chest. "All right," she said, addressing her team. "Let's get to work. We've got a planet to save, and not much time to do it." As the group dispersed, each tasked with their own preparations, Samira couldn't help but feel that they were standing on the precipice of a new era. Humanity was about to take its first steps onto the galactic stage, and she was determined to ensure that they would not only survive but thrive in the face of whatever the universe threw at them. The future, uncertain as it was, beckoned, and Samira Patel, with an alien ally by her side, was ready to meet it head-on. Hidden truths. The new Antarctica research base had transformed from a quiet scientific outpost into a hive of activity. In the weeks following Lyra's awakening, teams of scientists, engineers, and military personnel had descended upon the facility, all eager to learn from the alien visitor and prepare for the looming threat she had revealed. Commander Samira Patel stood in the newly constructed war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing Earth's current defensive capabilities. It wasn't an encouraging sight. "Even with our most advanced weaponry, we're nowhere near ready to face an interstellar threat," General Yuki Tanaka said, her face grim as she studied the projections. "We need a game changer, and we need it fast." Samira nodded, her mind racing. "That's where Lyra comes in. She's been working with our science team to adapt some of her people's technology to our manufacturing capabilities." As if summoned by her words, the door slid open, and Lyra glided in, followed closely by Dr. Marcus Chen. The alien's movements had become more fluid as she adjusted to Earth's gravity, but there was still an otherworldly grace to her that drew all eyes in the room. "I believe we have made a breakthrough." Lyra's mental voice resonated in their minds. She gestured to Marcus, who was practically bouncing with excitement. "It's incredible," the scientist gushed, pulling up a new set of schematics on the main display. "Lyra's shown us how to create a quantum entanglement communication array. Once it's operational, we'll be able to detect the Void Collective's ships long before they enter our solar system." General Tanaka leaned forward, her interest piqued. "And how long until we can have this operational?" Marcus's enthusiasm dimmed slightly. "That's the catch. We have all the theoretical knowledge, but we're missing a key component, a rare element Lyra calls stellarium. Without it, the array won't function." "There is a source of stellarium within your solar system," Lyra interjected. "A small deposit exists deep within the core of your moon." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Samira was the first to speak. "The lunar core extraction, that's never been done before. The technical challenges, the resources required. Not to mention the political nightmare," General Tanaka added. "The Moon Treaty would have to be completely renegotiated." Lyra's silver eyes swept the room, her gaze intense. "I understand the difficulties, but you must understand the stakes. The Void Collective will not stop with Earth. If they are not halted here, countless worlds will fall." Samira felt a chill run down her spine. There was something in Lyra's tone, a weight to her words that hinted at personal experience. "Lyra," she said softly, "what aren't you telling us about the Void Collective?" The alien was silent for a long moment, her luminescent skin dimming slightly. When she finally spoke, her mental voice was heavy with sorrow. The Void Collective was not always the scourge you now face. Long ago, they were peaceful explorers, much like your own species. My people, the Celestial Concordants, encountered them in their early days of space travel. Images began to flow into the minds of everyone present. Visions of a civilization of beings composed of swirling darkness and twinkling lights like living nebulae. We shared our knowledge with them, helped them reach the stars. But their hunger for advancement was insatiable. They delved into technologies that should have remained theoretical, tapping into the very fabric of space-time. The images shifted, showing the nebula-like beings twisted into monstrous forms. Their once gentle lights turned harsh and painful to look upon. The power they unleashed changed them, corrupted them. They became convinced that they were destined to rule the galaxy, to perfect all other life forms by assimilating them into their collective. My people tried to stop them, to reason with them, but it was too late. Lyra's mental voice faltered, and Samira instinctively reached out to steady her. The alien's skin was cool to the touch, but Samira could feel a tremor running through her. I was part of a last-ditch effort to see promising worlds with the knowledge and technology to resist the void. Earth was my final destination before I was to rendezvous with the remainder of my people. But my ship was damaged in a battle, and I was forced into emergency cryosleep. By the time you found me, your people were gone. Samira finished, her heart aching for Lyra's loss. The alien nodded, her silver eyes shimmering with what might have been tears. You are my last hope, humanity's last hope, and the last hope for countless worlds that do not yet know the danger they face. The room was silent as everyone processed this new information. General Tanaka was the first to recover, her military mind already strategizing. This changes things. If the Void Collective was once like us, then they must have vulnerabilities, weaknesses we can exploit. Marcus nodded eagerly. And if we can understand the technology that changed them, maybe we can find a way to reverse it, or at least protect ourselves from its effects. Samira straightened, her resolve hardening. All right, here's what we're going to do. General, I need you to start drawing up plans for a lunar extraction mission. Marcus, gather your best people and start working with Lyra on countermeasures against the Void's technology. I'll handle the political side. Try to get the global cooperation we'll need. As the group dispersed to their tasks, Samira found herself alone with Lyra. The alien regarded her with those mesmerizing silver eyes, and Samira felt the now familiar brush of her mind. You continue to surprise me, Samira Patil. Many would have given up hope in the face of such odds. Samira managed a small smile. That's the thing about humans, Lyra. We're too stubborn to know when we're beaten. And now that we know what's at stake, there's no way we're backing down. She reached out, taking Lyra's hand in her own. The gesture felt right. A bridge between their two species. We're going to win this, Lyra. Not just for Earth, but for your people, and for every world out there that deserves a chance to reach the stars. As they stood there, human and alien united in purpose, Samira felt a glimmer of hope. The road ahead would be difficult, the challenges immense, but in that moment, she believed, truly believed, that together they could face whatever the universe threw at them. The Void Collective was coming, but Earth would be ready. And perhaps in rising to meet this threat, humanity would take its first steps towards a destiny among the stars. Alliance forged. The lunar surface stretched out before Samira Patil, a desolate gray landscape broken only by the gleaming dome of Tranquility Base. Through her helmet's visor, she could see Earth hanging in the black sky, a fragile blue marble that suddenly seemed so small and vulnerable. Quite a view, isn't it? Dr. Marcus Chen's voice crackled through her comm. He stood beside her, his spacesuit bearing the patches of both NASA and the newly formed Earth Defense Coalition. Samira nodded, her throat tight with emotion. Makes you realize what we're fighting for. They turned as one, facing the massive drilling rig that dominated the lunar landscape. It was a marvel of human engineering and alien insight, designed to bore deep into the moon's core to extract the precious stellarium they so desperately needed. As they approached the rig, a figure in a specially designed suit emerged from the airlock. Even encased in bulky equipment, Lyra moved with an otherworldly grace. Her helmet was custom-made to accommodate her unique physiology, the faceplate tinted to protect her sensitive eyes from the harsh sunlight. "The extraction is proceeding on schedule." Lyra's mental voice touched their minds. "We should have enough stellarium for the quantum entanglement array within the week." "That's the best news I've heard all month," Samira said, relief evident in her voice. "How are you holding up, Lyra? I know this can't be easy for you." The alien was silent for a moment, her silver eyes gazing out at the stars. "It is difficult. Every particle of stellarium we extract brings us closer to confronting the void. I cannot help but remember all that was lost when they came for my people." Marcus placed a comforting hand on Lyra's shoulder. "We're not going to let that happen to Earth. Your knowledge, combined with human determination. The void won't know what hit them." Lyra's mental tone carried a hint of amusement. "Your species' confidence is either your greatest strength or your most dangerous weakness. I'm still not sure which." "Why not both?" Samira grinned behind her visor. "Come on, let's get back inside. We've got a war to plan." As they made their way back to the base, Samira marveled at how quickly humanity had risen to the challenge. In the months since Lyra's warning, old rivalries had been set aside, resources pooled, and technology shared at an unprecedented rate. The Earth Defense Coalition, once just a pipe dream of idealistic diplomats, was now a reality, uniting the planet in ways no one had thought possible. Inside the command center of Tranquility Base, holographic displays showed the progress of defense preparations across the globe. Factories worked around the clock, producing advanced weaponry based on Lyra's designs. Orbital shipyards, hastily constructed, were birthing Earth's first true space fleet. And deep beneath the surface of every continent, bunkers were being prepared to shelter as much of the population as possible. General Tanaka greeted them as they entered, her usually stern face bearing the signs of prolonged stress. "Commander, Dr. Lyra. Good timing. We've just received a transmission from the Deep Space Monitoring Station on Mars." Samira felt her heart rate spike. "The void." Tanaka nodded grimly. "A scout ship, from the looks of it. It's still at the edge of the solar system, but it's definitely heading our way." "They're earlier than I anticipated." Lyra's mental voice was tinged with concern. "They must have detected the energy signature from our extraction efforts." Marcus ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit he'd developed over the past months. "But we're not ready. The quantum array isn't operational. Our fleet is only half built." "Then we'll have to get ready faster." Samira cut him off, her voice filled with determination. She turned to Lyra. "You've seen how humanity responds to a crisis. Tell me, do you think we have a chance?" Lyra was silent for a long moment, her silver eyes studying each of them in turn. When she finally spoke, her mental voice resonated with a mix of emotions: hope, fear, and something deeper, almost affectionate. "In all my travels, I have never encountered a species quite like yours. You are young, yes, and in many ways unprepared for the challenges that lie ahead. But you possess a spirit, a resilience that even my people lacked in our final days." She moved to the central holographic display, her slender blue fingers manipulating the controls with practiced ease. The image shifted, showing a simulation of Earth's defenses against the coming Void Fleet. "Your weapons may not be the most advanced, your ships may be fewer in number, but you have something the Void Collective cannot comprehend: the ability to adapt, to think creatively in the face of overwhelming odds." The simulation played out, showing Earth's forces employing unconventional tactics, using the terrain of their solar system to their advantage. It wasn't a clear victory, but it showed a fighting chance. More than that, Lyra continued, "You have forged unity from diversity, strength from what others might see as weakness. The void seeks to assimilate, to enforce homogeny. But you, her gaze swept the room, lingering on Samira. You thrive on difference, on the clash and collaboration of varied perspectives. Samira felt a swell of pride, not just for herself, but for her entire species. So you're saying we might actually pull this off? Lyra's mental tone carried the closest thing to a chuckle that they'd ever felt from her. I'm saying that if any species has a chance of surprising the Void Collective, it's humanity. And I find that I am honored to fight alongside you. General Tanaka cleared her throat, but there was a glimmer of hope in her eyes that hadn't been there before. Well then, let's make sure we give the Void a welcome they'll never forget. Dr. Chen, I want that quantum array operational yesterday. Commander Patel, coordinate with the fleet. Every ship we have needs to be ready for battle stations. Lyra, keep doing what you're doing. Your insights have been invaluable. As the group dispersed to their tasks, Samira felt a gentle touch on her arm. She turned to find Lyra standing close, those mesmerizing silver eyes focused intently on her. Samira, the alien's mental voice was soft, almost intimate. There is something I must tell you, something I have come to realize in my time here. Samira's heart raced, though she couldn't quite say why. What is it, Lyra? In all the cosmos, with all the wonders I have seen, I have never encountered anything quite like you. Your courage, your compassion, your unyielding spirit, they have awakened something in me I thought long lost. Before Samira could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. General Tanaka's voice cut through the chaos. Multiple void signatures detected entering the solar system. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Samira met Lyra's gaze, seeing her own mix of fear and determination reflected in those alien eyes. Whatever this thing was between them, whatever revelations lay unspoken, they would have to wait. Looks like the future of two species is about to be decided, Samira said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Lyra nodded, a gesture she had adopted from her time among humans. Indeed. Shall we go and make history, Samira Patel? As they rushed to the command center, Samira allowed herself one last glance at the Earth, hanging silent and blue in the lunar sky. Everything she had ever known, everyone she had ever loved, was on that fragile sphere. And now, improbably, impossibly, it fell to her, to all of them, to defend not just their world, but the very ideals of freedom and diversity across the galaxy. The Void Collective was coming, but humanity, with all its flaws and all its potential, was ready to rise to the challenge, and they would not stand alone. Humanity's stand. The vast emptiness of space erupted into chaos as the Void Collective's fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. Their ships were monstrous constructs of dark energy and corrupted matter, each one a city-sized nightmare that seemed to devour the very starlight around it. In the command center of the EDS Horizon, Earth's flagship, Commander Samira Patel stood shoulder to shoulder with Lyra, both of them watching the tactical hologram with grim determination. The alien's presence was a constant comfort, a reminder of all they were fighting for. All ships, battle stations, Samira's voice rang out, steady and clear. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Humanity stands together, here and now. As the Void Fleet approached, Earth's defenses sprang to life. The quantum entanglement array, finally operational, lit up with data, providing real-time information on the enemy's movements and weaknesses. Orbital platforms armed with gravity weapons, based on Lyra's designs, but perfected by human innovation. Powered up, ready to tear apart the fabric of space itself. The first wave of void ships met a barrage of fire, unlike anything they had encountered in their long history of conquest. Beams of concentrated gravity ripped through their hulls, while swarms of smaller Earth vessels darted between the behemoths, striking with pinpoint accuracy at weak spots identified by the quantum array. But the Void was not easily defeated. Their ships, wounded but adapting, released clouds of nanites that began to reconstruct their damaged parts. Worse, tendrils of dark energy reached out, attempting to corrupt Earth's technology and turn it against its creators. "They're trying to assimilate our defenses." Lyra's mental voice was tense, just as they did to countless worlds before. Samira gritted her teeth. "Not this time. Marcus, initiate Protocol Omega." Across the solar system, Earth's ships and stations began to pulse with an eerie blue light. It was the fruit of months of collaboration between human scientists and Lyra, a quantum field that shifted the very nature of their technology faster than the void could adapt. "It's working." Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the comm. "Their assimilation attempts are failing. But Samira, we can't keep this up forever. The power drain is enormous." Samira knew he was right. Despite their preparations, despite the miracle of global cooperation that had brought them to this point, they were still outnumbered and outgunned. They needed a game changer. As if in answer to her unspoken prayer, a new alert flashed on the tactical display. General Tanaka's face appeared on the view screen, her expression a mix of excitement and disbelief. "Commander, we're picking up new signatures approaching from the outer solar system. They're not void, and they're not ours." Samira turned to Lyra, whose silver eyes were wide with shock. It can't be. But it was. Emerging from the depths of space came a fleet of crystalline ships, each one shimmering with colors that hurt the human eye to look upon. They moved with impossible grace, weaving between void ships and human defenses alike. The Lumina, Lyra's mental voice, was filled with awe. "I thought they were just a legend, a story my people told of an ancient race that had transcended physical form." One of the crystalline ships approached the horizon, and suddenly a new voice resonated in the minds of everyone aboard, not just the bridge crew, but every human on every ship in the fleet. "People of Earth and last daughter of the celestial concordance, we have watched and waited, curious to see how you would face this threat. You have proven yourselves worthy allies in the struggle against the darkness. Let us end this together." "They're trying to assimilate our defenses." Lyra's mental voice was tense, just as they did to countless worlds before. Samira gritted her teeth. "Not this time. Marcus, initiate Protocol Omega." Across the solar system, Earth's ships and stations began to pulse with an eerie blue light. It was the fruit of months of collaboration between human scientists and Lyra, a quantum field that shifted the very nature of their technology faster than the void could adapt. "It's working." Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the comm. "Their assimilation attempts are failing. But Samira, we can't keep this up forever. The power drain is enormous." Samira knew he was right. Despite their preparations, despite the miracle of global cooperation that had brought them to this point, they were still outnumbered and outgunned. They needed a game changer. As if in answer to her unspoken prayer, a new alert flashed on the tactical display. General Tanaka's face appeared on the view screen, her expression a mix of excitement and disbelief. "Commander, we're picking up new signatures approaching from the outer solar system. They're not void, and they're not ours." Samira turned to Lyra, whose silver eyes were wide with shock. "It can't be." But it was. Emerging from the depths of space came a fleet of crystalline ships, each one shimmering with colors that hurt the human eye to look upon. They moved with impossible grace, weaving between void ships and human defenses alike. The Lumina, Lyra's mental voice, was filled with awe. "I thought they were just a legend, a story my people told of an ancient race that had transcended physical form." One of the crystalline ships approached the horizon, and suddenly a new voice resonated in the minds of everyone aboard, not just the bridge crew, but every human on every ship in the fleet. "People of Earth and last daughter of the celestial concordance, we have watched and waited, curious to see how you would face this threat. You have proven yourselves worthy allies in the struggle against the darkness. Let us end this together." What followed was a battle that would be remembered for generations to come. The Lumina's advanced technology, combined with Earth's tenacity and Lyra's strategic insight, turned the tide against the Void Collective. Human pilots flew with reckless courage, their maneuvers unpredictable and effective. The quantum array, pushed beyond its limits, provided targeting data that allowed for precision strikes at the heart of Void command ships.